Good morning and welcome again to another podcast, the Retire Wise podcast. I'm David Koster with Retirement Living Associates. Honored to be joined today by North Carolina Secretary of State, Elaine Marshall. It's great to see you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's the fall of the year as we're shooting this podcast. We were just talking about the North Carolina State Fair and how much fun that is for everyone. But you get to go a lot more than other people, and sometimes that's work, but it did sound like it was fun.
Well, it was all pleasurable work, yes. And we have a booth there, and a lot of people stop in, and I spend time in the booth. And you'd be amazed, other state agencies have booths, but their folks come around and say to my folks after I'm gone, how'd you get your boss here? Well, I love it. It's about making contact. I grew up on county fairs and state fairs as a 4-H'er, so it's kind of in my DNA, if not in my toes. State fairs are wonderful. It's a great way for us to communicate with the public because this Secretary of State's office is very misunderstood. Secretary of States around the country are not cookie cutters. So what you may think about something else, or what you may even hear on TV, is not necessarily correct, because about a third of us secretaries do not do elections. And of course, people get riled up on TV and they say, tell your Secretary of State this, this, and this about elections. And now we get those telephone calls, but we don't do elections. Never have in the history of the state has the Secretary of State done elections. So we're business infrastructure. We do important things to support business. And I often jokingly say I'm the Secretary of Stuff. Because if the General Assembly wants to keep a record of something, but it doesn't neatly fit somewhere else like agriculture or insurance or something like that, it comes to us. And we're going to talk about some of those things today that have been assigned to us. And the unique thing about this Secretary of State's office is that I have law enforcement authority in some, not general law enforcement, but in some of the areas that we register, we also regulate either civilly or criminally if necessary. So I've got investigators on staff and can do things. We're going to talk a little bit about fraud here.
We are, and we're going to talk about charities and this time of year that we're getting into where there's a lot of solicitation going on for charities, some of which are real and some of which are not, but we'll get into that in just a second. I did want to follow up on one thing related to the fair that you were telling me before we got started, and that is that you were out there one day working with investigators, I guess, and law enforcement related to some counterfeit goods.
Right.
And I know that's something that falls under your purview.
I'm the counterfeit cop.
There you go.
We register North Carolina trademarks, but there's more to intellectual property than just trademarks. There's copyrights, there's patents. But North Carolina, you can register a state trademark. You don't have to have a federal. We're cheaper to do, quicker to do, but we only protect for North Carolina. But anybody that wants something that's nationwide would want to do it at the federal office. But our law enforcement authority is any trademark, whether it's North Carolina only or national. It's mostly the nationals that are knocked off. As we go to the holiday season, fair season, there are a lot of opportunities for vendors and customers to interact. And there's also people are thinking about the holiday season and maybe gift giving, because I knew when I was a teenager I had my wish list out there early enough so that Santa Claus knew what I was interested in. So, grandparents and parents are thinking about gift giving and that kind of thing. And so some of the popular items are the most likely to be counterfeited. And we really want to alert people to know that, number one, counterfeiting is supported by organized crime, people that traffic in humans, terrorist operations, those kinds of things, as well as they're stealing from legitimate folks in North Carolina, whether it's the transportation people, the manufacturing people, the retail people, and the local government that gets taxes from selling these products. Then, if that doesn't convince you, you ought not be dealing with them. A lot of them are safety and health issues. The popular thing this year are the little Labubu dolls.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
You'll have to. And they have parts that come off, little feet on them, on the smaller ones like this that fall off. definitely a choking hazard for a small child. Just shoddy merchandise. Now, the real Labubu's are better built, and some of them cost about $90. These other ones are cheap. And what I tell people is, we know kind of the secrets, or at least the identification factors on counterfeits. But you as a consumer can't be held to that responsibility. But you need to look at place, packaging, and price. Things like Louis Vuitton is frequently seen. Louis Vuitton is only sold through licensed Louis stores. So when you see it at the flea market, the fair, wherever, parking lot of a ball game, somebody walking around selling purses, they're knockoffs. They're knockoffs. So packaging, price, and place.
Okay, well, good. So we're going to transition now to talk about another type of deceptive practice,
Right.
and that relates to charities. And as we say, we're moving into the holiday season where those solicitations, I guess, become greater in number. And
According to my mailbox, you were right.
according to your mailbox, that's exactly right. And your office has a lot to do with overseeing charities, managing their registration, and protecting consumers from that type of fraud. So let's start with what your specific responsibilities are, and then how consumers in North Carolina can utilize some of the resources that you have
Sure.
to protect themselves.
Well, first off, the charitable solicitation law does not cover all charities. It doesn't cover church groups or youth groups, those kinds of things. They're exceptions. What it basically covers is organizations that hire a professional fundraiser to help them raise money and or have earnings of over $50,000 and pay their employees. Those organizations are the ones that are registered. And it's a twofold registration. It's the registration for the charity, and it's the registration for the professional fundraiser when they have those. This involves filing federal tax forms that are charitable solicitation forms. If there's people can go to sosnc.gov and go look at charities, and you can look up, we have a huge array, like 20, 25 years worth of records, and you can see the tax returns for any charity you might be thinking of that is registered. You can see how much went to overhead expenses. You can see how much they pay their staff. You can see how much, and this is what our report that we do annually focuses on, how much goes to the charity. Because North Carolinians are quite generous. We are resilient. We are people that believe in the community of others, whether it's the state or other places that get hit by natural disasters, and on and on and on. We want people to be wise givers, because I think most people in their mind might have an idea that it's okay for a certain percentage to go to administrative costs, but they want the majority of their money to go to the charity. When you go to our annual report, you can see some charities that only get 20%. The rest has gone to fundraising and salaries and stuff like that. I think most people would find that unacceptable. And we hope that they will research and find others in that same zone. If it's homeless, if it's heat for people in the wintertime, if it's animal shelters, something related to a disease and research, there are others who are doing that work at a more efficient rate. And of course, those that are getting a very small percentage, people might say, why don't you put them out of business? That's a fraud, really. It's a misrepresentation. Well, back in, I think, 1984, somewhere along there, the United States Supreme Court said that we can't set minimum requirements to go to the fundraising operation. So it's kind of that free speech issue, because your money is your free speech. But people can be wise givers, and I always recommend to people, if you get a solicitation, like a lot of them are coming online. We joked about mail, but a lot of them are coming online. I don't recommend ever clicking through a solicitation that comes with pitiful looking children or horrible flood damage or earthquake damage or whatever it might be that tugs at your heart, put down the name, go research on your own. Don't click through that, because if it's a fraud, bingo, and if you were ever to give your credit card to the fraudsters, that is not a very good position to be.
Right.
I always recommend go do a little searching on your own to make sure that you're connecting with a real one. Now, there are websites that are fraudulent. The federal government has told us that, and they've told us it's like a whack-a-mole situation. They can't get them all down. My ultimate advice to people is to give locally to organizations you know, even if it is disaster relief for Haiti or the latest earthquake somewhere around the world, because Rotary, Lions, Kiwanis, church groups all have worldwide missions.
Sure.
And they are efficient. When we think about Good Samaritan here in North Carolina, incredibly efficient in providing services. They're in Jamaica right now doing the cleanup as we record this. They're well-meaning people that want to help, but efficiency and know-how is a key part of doing charity work, whether it's disaster or non-charity or other charities. So I just wrote a check at my church on Sunday for Jamaican disaster relief for the Methodist Men's, worldwide organization that does that.
And that what I think part of what you're saying there is that those local organizations like your church are already connected to international relief efforts that they've been working with for decades and decades and decades.
Or your civic club.
They're vetted.
Absolutely.
So it's more of a pass-through than it is anything else, but it's got a confidence that goes with it.
Right, a higher rate of efficiency for it, because I believe that's what most people in their heart want that money to do.
Right, and while there are many good organizations out there, there are many bad actors.
There's some that are bad,
well.
and there are others that are sloppy and inefficient.
And some of them are still perhaps giving some to but there are some that aren't giving any, that put themselves forward as a charity when in fact they're not.
Right. And here's where my law enforcement comes in. We have been, now a lot of the times that there's a true overall fraud, it's a multi-state approach. So we work with other charity solicitation offices around the country, and it's easier for a multi-state action to take place. And we participate in those. I can't exactly tell you one. If I would say it, everybody would know it. And we're not in a position to say what exactly went wrong and who knew what in that. But just be a vigilant giver. Look up on the Better Business Bureau. A lot of these charities are registered there. There's a Navigator, GuideStar, that you can look up and see what their record is. Unfortunately, a lot of the fraud we see, in addition to disasters, is like cancer research.
Right.
And the next other bucket is veterans. All very, very worthy projects that tug at people's heart, that people identify with. And they have that emotion to give. So, but again, being a smart giver is very important. We have a checklist for people if you're getting a telephone call or something you can think about. You got a copy of it?
I have it right here.
Okay.
Available on the website.
Right. And if you're thinking about something, you can fill in, how do they serve the mission and all this kind of stuff. So we're doing a couple of things. We're trying to educate the giving public. We also put up the contracts that solicitors have. And since we started doing that, we have found that the amount going to the charities has gone up. Through no fault of their own, a lot of worthy organizations did not know what they could put in a good contract with a charitable fundraiser.
Okay.
So, we really think that has helped a lot.
Well, good.
So
one of the things, our audience is more older people and families that have older people as part of them, and they're particularly vulnerable from some of these fraudulent solicitations, and probably particularly this time of year. What would you say about that particular group of people?
What I would say to everybody out there that's listening to this, isolation and loneliness is like a cancer. It works on people. Older folks sometimes are wondering, what's going on with my grandchildren? Why haven't I heard from anybody in my family in the last week or two? That kind of thing. Please don't let the people you love get so isolated. That's number one, because they become more vulnerable. Whether it's an investment scam, which we also do, or charity scams, these people on the telephone will make nice and call to them and become a friend. Because they're looking for a friend. They're looking for connections out there. And so people that are real good scammers will build up that across a period of telephone calls and what have you. And then, do a pitch for money, whether it's investment or contribute to a worthy cause,
So avoiding the loneliness, checking in with your loved ones, making sure that the relationships that they depend on a week-to-week basis are with you, not with some stranger that might call them on the phone.
Exactly.
So it sounds like you guys are on the front line of defending, but one of the things that struck me as I was reading some of the materials on your site is that it's really all about prevention. Once something happens,
it's difficult,
not impossible, but it's very difficult to get money back.
Right.
And so the vigilance has to be on the front end. And so that's really the encouragement that we have for folks.
We strongly believe in education to prevent crime. Number one, a lot of times the perpetrators are not in the state, so that makes it next to impossible for us to do anything. Number two, I don't have the resources to go chasing these things down like I would need to be effective at it. And you just can't prosecute your way out of every wrong that's out there in general. So preparing the public, educating the public is really a cornerstone of the things that we do.
So the website again is?
www.sosnc.gov. Great. And then you get a lot of choices after that.
A lot of choices after that, but a lot of wonderful resources, this checklist that was referenced, and just a lot of very common sense guides.
Check before you write one, is what we
check
like to say.
Check before you write one.
We need to work up something. Check before you use your credit card.
Yeah.
Check before you write
That's
one is
right.
what we've been saying for years.
Give no credit before it's due, or
something like that.
Something like that. Well, thank you very much, Secretary of State Elaine Marshall. Again, this is David Koster with RetireWise podcast. We thank you for joining us.